I'm Lisa Pickering, and welcome to CITV's Press Talk. Here's the most recent news and information from the government of Bermuda.
Thank you and good afternoon. Here to discuss today arrangements in respect of vacation rental and the home sharing market. With long-held traditions of home ownership and hospitality, Bermudians have for decades opened their homes to paying guests. The rest of the world has now caught on to what Bermudians have known all along. For a genuine and immersive experience, a homestay can be an attractive alternative to staying in a hotel. Enabled by new technology, the vacation rental and home sharing industry is taking off. A recent report by Research and Markets estimated that the industry was worth $100 billion globally in 2017 and was forecasted to grow to $170 billion in 2019. One of the biggest operators in this space is Airbnb, which currently operates in 34,000 cities and 191 countries. As a Minister of Tourism, I recently met with executives of Airbnb and other companies active in this space, and we're now evaluating a groundbreaking proposal for partnership to make this exciting opportunity accessible to more Bermudian families while ensuring standards for our visitors and a level playing field for our hoteliers. Bermuda Tourism Authority statistics from September 2016 show that 485 homeowners are already active in this space, with 821 bedrooms on offer. The Ministry, BTA, and our potential partners all believe that the opportunity is much greater. We have studied a white paper produced in 2015 by the Bermuda Tourism Authority that has surveyed the industry, and we are considering the BTA's recommendations as to how we can develop this sector. One of the BTA's central findings was that our regulatory framework has not kept up to the industry's evolution. Many homeowners who host are operating in an ambiguous gray area. Indeed, a vacation rental is not even defined in Bermuda law, while some others are almost certainly operating in a way that contravenes the Hotel Act. Another finding was that a lack of quality, health, and safety standards was a barrier to some visitors and a potential risk to Bermuda's great reputation. Finally, a lack of direct marketing and promotion of the sector, because those visitors do not contribute to the BTA fee that supports the tourism marketing of Bermuda, was both a barrier and an opportunity. We are in discussions with some home sharing companies to understand how they have partnered with other jurisdictions to ensure these properties are regulated, including what minimum requirements, if any, there should be, and to provide other resources for interested Bermudians. If adopted, these changes would begin to level the playing field for vacation properties and home sharing relative to Bermuda's regular hotel properties. Airbnb has been a leader in helping jurisdictions address some of the challenges that critics have leveled at the home sharing industry. In particular, they and other home sharing operators have developed straightforward mechanisms to enable the collecting of taxes and fees directly in a way from visitors that does not inconvenience homeowners, but ensures that the costs of supporting tourism are shared equitably by all who benefit. There already is a strong and viable precedent for this around the world, and we are exploring how we can implement this in Bermuda. Another concern raised about home sharing is the impact on house prices and rental costs. A 2016 study commissioned by Airbnb and conducted by independent researcher GEWOS, however, found that home sharing has no significant impact on the housing market, while offering local residents the chance to balance the books and afford their own homes. A U.S. Airbnb study went even further, with 19% of Airbnb hosts across 10 cities, that's about 16,000 homeowners, reporting that the income they made from hosting helped them avoid foreclosure or eviction. We will soon have more to announce about how families can participate in this sharing economy and what we can expect from our partners. There is an untapped potential here in Bermuda, a vacation rental market that can be a source of revenue and to security for many Bermudian households. This would be a fantastic opportunity for Bermuda and also increase the overall number of beds in Bermuda that we have to offer, which will provide options for travelers and utilize a model that has taken hold across the world. The BTA has already consulted with the Bermuda Hotel Association, the vacation property rental industry, realtors, and the general public through discussion forums and surveys. There have already been discussions relating to standards, quality control, safety, liability, promotion, and competition. We don't see the growth in rental vacations as a threat to Bermuda's traditional hotels, but rather as a complement to an industry that has served us well over many years. As we build a new economic model for Bermuda, we have to build upon what we hold dear in tourism, build on our past successes with new avenues to pave the way for our tourism renaissance. We've already seen our visitor numbers on the right trajectory. We are right now waiting on the tourism performance figures for December, but I can tell you that I'm highly optimistic that we will achieve tourism industry growth for the 12th consecutive month. We are excited about 2017 with the America's Cup, tall ships, and the arrival of super yachts. This is a good time for Bermuda to shine. Fully developing the vacation rental and home sharing market will give us a chance to continue to build on that through the development of the strategic objectives of the National Tourism Plan. We can better position ourselves to families and the younger millennial market. We can convert cruise ship passengers to air arrivals and improve visitor spending. We can build quality and island pride because visitors will post online reviews of their properties. We can create jobs and business development, and we can stimulate industry and add value to the Bermuda home. We believe this level of tourism development will also be a substantial part of refocusing Bermudians on the large variety of employment and entrepreneurial opportunities that can be realized through a highly successful visitor-based sector. I'd invite the public and the media to review the BTA's full report and an executive summary online on the gotobermuda.com website.
Isn't there a risk that government red tape and extra costs and everything else would in fact turn out to be a negative as opposed to a positive in all this?
That's making an assumption there'd be government red tape attached to this. What we're looking to do here is a very light touch. What we can do is set certain standards. But it remains my view that the way these home sharing opportunities work is they're very much self-regulated. For those of you who have some experience using home sharing abroad, you create your own profile and you get reviews on your own property and a review of the actual person who's using the property. So it's in the best interest of those that are involved in that market to make sure that they have a property that's suitable for sale. And we will give guidelines about the types of things that would be anticipated, but it's a very self-regulating opportunity. What we'd like to do is introduce a fee, as we've said, that will level the playing field. Hotels have to pay a fee. We'd like to see a fee levied on these types of rentals, but it would be collected directly from the person renting rather than as a tax, say, on the actual property itself. So it takes the burden away from the individual who's actually putting the property up for rent. And instead, what happens is any fee is collected directly by the provider, the service provider, like an Airbnb, who collects a fee and actually makes a transfer directly to a government or other entity.
Has all this come too late for 2017, particularly the America's Cup?
I don't think so at all. I think it's actually very good timing. It's obviously something that has been on the radar. The BTA has done a tremendous amount of work in this area. But it's a prime opportunity now to make sure we get in on this before the America's Cup, to get the word out there about those opportunities. Again, it's something that we've been working on since that BTA report. And most recently we had, as I've said, some meetings towards the latter part of last year with some of these companies to explore how they can assist. We can't ignore it, and I think by embracing it and putting the right things in place, we can set up wonderful opportunities for Bermudians. We can get them engaged in that hospitality industry. St. George's has almost become a hub for it. There are a number of Bermudian entrepreneurs who have set up real kind of Airbnb opportunities that are not guest houses, but they're making a significant amount of income in respect of renting out properties that are actually specifically designed for that Airbnb market. So there's real opportunity. People have vast numbers of empty properties because of the numbers of people that have left Bermuda over the years working in the insurance industry. So how can we repurpose that? And we think that by embracing the home share opportunities, that's where Bermudians can actually get engaged in the economy again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Minister, do you anticipate any any impact to the stock of homes available for rent to locals, as landlords might opt to rent out their homes and apartments for tourism purposes, as opposed to renting them out to locals?
No, I think what you're going to find is there are some, obviously, that would prefer to have a long-term renter, someone that is going to sign a one-year lease. That's obviously probably a lot less work for the landlord because they have a guaranteed tenant for a period of time. To get into the Airbnb market, that's more of a business opportunity to have a lot of turnover. That means someone actually has to be available to be on call for a guest, make sure that the unit is turned over the moment a guest leaves. It's a different business model. So I don't think so. You have two different types. I also think that based on even anecdotal evidence, there's a vast number of empty units in Bermuda, and the report that the BTA produced outlines that. There are a lot more units than there were available, say, 10 years ago, and the home sharing market really wasn't something that was really even heard of then, say 10 years ago when we were at the height of our economic success with insurance and reinsurance. We think this opportunity fits in nicely with the government's vision of increasing economic opportunity for Bermudians, but through the tourism sector as well. This is a wonderful model with not a lot of red tape that's attached to it, with opportunities to pair up with the service providers themselves, who provide that opportunity for us to collect the fees that might be necessary to do marketing.
How would it not compete with the hotel industry? What did you hear back from the Bermuda Hotel Association in that regard?
So the Hotel Association obviously would, in my view, and I think any hotel you would tell this, they'd rather not have this to be concerned about at all. Obviously it's some form of competition, but you have to level the playing field. You want to make sure that if the hotels are paying, for example, their tourism fee, they also pay a hotel occupancy tax. At the moment you have this sector that is getting wider and wider and wider. But by implementing some form of tourism fee, the users of, say, Airbnb are taking advantage of the marketing that's being spent. I think as well, Jonathan, certainly there is a different type of visitor as well that will use a hotel versus a home sharing experience. Some people will always go to hotels and some will always use home sharing depending on their circumstances. At least this way, you are creating an opportunity for people to make a choice. And as well, this is, again, I go back to why we think this is a good idea. To embrace something rather than turn it away is because of the opportunities for Bermudians to engage in the tourism market hands-on and say this is something that we can actually do. Whilst there will be some competition, but there's different visitors and different strokes for different folks.
So if I'm renting a room of my house out to a couple visiting the island, what kind of fee would I be looking to pay for that?
Well, that's going to be up to the market forces. So there's no intent to regulate any of that. That's going to be entirely up to that individual who, if they have two rooms that they wish to rent out, or maybe they wish to rent out their entire premises, that is up to them and what fee that they think that they can attract. If you go onto any of the home sharing websites, you'll see that there's obviously a range. Some people will say it's $200 a night, some may say it's $1,000 a night. It depends on the value of the product. So it's governed by market forces. It's up to that homeowner what they think their property is worth. and what return that they would like to get on it. But that's a great thing for those that want that flexibility. They're not locked in. They can say, I only want to do this for a month out of the year, I only want to do it for 2 months of the year, or maybe they don't want to put their property on at all for a year. But they have opportunities and differences that they can use.
How could you get tax from a visitor without going through the actual owner?
So the way the fees would work is we would obviously have to pass a fee in the legislature. That would then be put on to through agreements with those home sharing sites that are doing business in Bermuda. And it would simply say they would have to agree, and they will agree, because they do it in other jurisdictions, is, let's say, Brian, you said, I've got a room, I want to do $100 a night. Let's say you pick a fee of 5%. Pick a number. That's not the number. I said, let's just pretend to pick a number. That fee would then be on the list of when you're renting that property for a night. It's 5%. The person making the payment would pay the fee and the 5%, and that 5% would be transferred directly from the renter to the service provider, say an Airbnb. That fee would then be transferred directly from the Airbnb to the Bermuda government without any fee being taken off. So there's different opportunities, more so than there were a number of years ago, for this kind of thing to happen. And it's not a tax then on the actual provider, i.e. the homeowner. It's payable by the renter exactly up front.
Have you had any feedback from people who do this now, who are not paying anything?
So it's again, I think the difference is it's not a fee that we're going and saying to the person that is rented, that owns the unit, to say, now we're coming after you for 10%. It's actually payable immediately by the person who's doing the renting. So the individual who owns the unit isn't going to feel like they're losing anything out of their pocket. And that's the beauty of this type of arrangement. Obviously, there's some that say, well, you know, we don't really want to have to worry about any of this, but the way that you can set this up is they don't really have to be worried about it. And that's the beauty of this kind of arrangement. Yeah.
Any future plans of regulation as far as inspecting different properties?
That's up for debate. There are some that would like to see an inspection regime, but I think, again, I think we have to see how the regime works in its first place. At the moment, those that are engaged in Airbnbs are not subject to hotel inspections because it's not a hotel. I'm very reluctant to add that kind of red tape to things. Obviously, if someone wants to be successful, they're going to offer the best product that they can. That to me is the key, without having to get into a regulatory regime, which frankly will then put people off from engaging in the industry. What we're trying to do is attract people to utilize what they have now. If you have a property and you'd like some extra income, it's not quite working out for you, we're saying there's other opportunities out there. BTA, as I said, have done a tremendous amount of work in this arena already with their study. We're embracing that. We're looking for ways to set up now arrangements with those service providers to maximize the opportunities for those who want to get into the industry, but also level the playing field somewhat so the hotels don't feel like this is something that's going to put them at a disadvantage, but in fact put them on a similar playing field with a rate, and to make sure everyone then is paying into the marketing of Bermuda. Because after all, if you want Bermuda to be successful, the BTA has to have the ability and funds to do that marketing and get people here. Otherwise, all this is for naught anyway. So that's what we're aiming to do, and we think we can achieve that.
You've been watching Press Talk right here on CITV. Join us next time for your government's news and information. I'm Lisa Pickering.